Thank you. Deputy O'Leary.
In Oireachtas and Taoiseach. In the first instance, to say once again that we abhor the Russian Federation's criminal invasion of Ukraine, a war of aggression that has caused untold human suffering. It is very clear from the events of recent weeks that Vladimir Putin has no interest in peace, that he is using opportunities of discussion to stall, to delay, all the while trying to strengthen his own position and the Russian position. In such a context, it is important that international pressure comes to bear on Russia, and Ireland must use its voice at diplomatic levels and in terms of humanitarian support to advocate on behalf of Ukraine and against Russian aggression, and in support of sanctions where appropriate and necessary as well. The issue of it's an extraordinary situation, and a number of, I think, deputies across all sides of the House have reflected on the role of the EU in what is going on in the Middle East, and it is undoubtedly, in the 50-odd years history of the EU, one of the darkest chapters of the EU, its response to what is happening in the Middle East. It is an absolute blot upon it. The situation with, for years, trying to negotiate the EU-Israel Association Agreement, Clause 2, is making it clear that human rights have to be complied with. There is no doubt but that Clause 2 has been broken hundreds and thousands of times over the last number of years. And yet the EU's pathetic response is to delay a decision for a further month. It is simply not good enough, and it reflects a profound lack of leadership, including from von der Leyen, and it is right and appropriate that there are questions over her leadership at this point in time, because she has she has shown, in my view, no moral character in how she has responded to what is happening in Gaza, to the genocide, to the human suffering, to the potential famine situation that is facing it. And indeed, in relation to the aid situation, I believe some 80% of people who have been killed in Gaza in recent weeks have happened while they have been queuing for food, while they've been queuing for aid. Kaja Kallas has given cover in the past to the Israeli government for the demonisation of UNRWA, and given political cover for them being excluded from the distribution of aid. And that was used, I think, quite deliberately and consciously by the Israeli government and by the US in bringing forward this GHF model, which is leading to chaos and is not by any manner or means ensuring aid is being reached by people, and is leading to death because of the chaos that is involved. The Taoiseach referenced the Two-State Solution Conference. That is a vitally important conference. I would also identify the conference in Bogota next week, the Ministerial Conference, which is a conference in defence of international law in the context of what is happening in the Middle East. It's vitally important that the Irish Government is represented there. Portugal will be there, and a number of other European countries are potentially going to be there. It's a crucially important conference, and I would urge the Department to be in attendance. We've seen headlines the last couple of days in relation to tariffs, and yet again more pronouncements by President Trump in relation to maybe 200% on pharmaceuticals. And it is impossible to know where that situation will end up. It's impossible to know what President Trump will say next. But what is clear is that the direction of travel is towards tariffs. It's potentially towards at least a base tariff across the board for EU countries. From an Irish point of view, that leads to a number of questions. I believe Ireland has been left uniquely vulnerable by the policies of recent government, by their failure to invest in infrastructure, by their over-reliance on tax incentives, and by their failure to diversify where Irish businesses are doing business with. That needs to be addressed. So from our view, what are the priorities? First has to be dealing with the issue of tariff distortions. We are in potentially a very particular situation because of the north-south economy. That needs to be a priority for the Irish government. I would also say we need to use our voice at European level in defence of key Irish sectors, pharmaceuticals, life sciences, but also some of the areas that would be most quickly affected, such as food and drink, such as whisky, such as dairy products. They need to be right at the heart of the approach, as well as preparation for support. We've heard very little from the government about how it is going to do to support businesses on the ground if this comes to pass. And finally, in terms of infrastructure, because that is one of the key things that businesses are saying to us up and down the country, is in relation to the fact that The opportunity was not taken. Our infrastructure is too poor in terms of energy, in terms of transport, in terms of healthcare, in terms of housing, and that is one of the key reasons that we are uniquely vulnerable. And the government needs to address that, whether what outcome comes from negotiations and President Trump's plans.
Deputy.
Like, share, and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.